There were 5 games.
Yeah.
Which game was your favorite?
Let me think. There's so many close games to choose from, Hi guys, welcome to the Third Umpire podcast. This is Ali, and I'm also Ali. Today we're going to be going over the rain-affected series between West Indies and Pakistan that just concluded. So, what are your thoughts? I know we didn't get to see much, but
First of all, I really like the setup. I love
Yeah?
the roof, and I think it looks amazing.
it's
It's
a nice
different
change.
vibe.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
So, how are you doing? How's everything?
I'm doing well. Just not much. Been.
Kind of interesting day. Interesting week, if you have to say that, because
interesting. One way to put it. Yeah.
Bangladesh, Australia as well.
Yeah.
Two games.
Two
they
games
lost.
and Bangladesh won. Congrats to them.
Yeah,
A huge deal.
Little bit of off spin. It just shows, and how the pitches can affect the game. But let's not talk too much about that. Let's focus on Pakistan, West Indies. There were 5 games.
Yeah.
Which game was your favorite?
Let me think. There's so many close games to choose from. You have the first game. I would say was very close. We got to see about half of it. What did you think of the first game?
So, okay, in all seriousness, 9 overs.
Yeah.
It was. What do you think about Lendl Simmons? I mean, Mohammad Wasim hit him with a really scary.
I hope he's well. He's a
Yeah.
good player. He's a really good T20 player. I actually met him. I met him a few days before he won the 2016 World T20 semi-final against India. But yeah, he looked fine. I think he'll be all right. But what do you think of the game?
Wasim was fast. The first game, I'm a fan of Babar Azam. So, and I'm a fan of. For me, T20, especially Pakistan, I love seeing them bat. Growing up watching the Hafeez, the Razaks, all these players, for me, batting is a whole. I mean, that's what makes it interesting for me. Of course, you have because nowadays, if you look at T20, the bats are bigger. You can only bowl a certain number
Boundaries
of
are smaller,
bouncers.
all
For
that.
instance, there's a lot of restrictions on the bowlers. So, I mean, if you can see some quality batting,
Yeah.
So for me, I would have loved to see Babar bat. I would have loved to see Rizwan. I would have been interested in seeing the combination that they can make
Yeah.
with, let's say, Fakhar Zaman. Where does he bat? Where does Hafeez bat? Azam Khan was playing that game as well.
Shoaib Maqsood was playing the last few. Shaheen
Right,
was playing
so
a few of them. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So I want to firstly understand what's the dynamic that the team is trying to go with. It's really, these are interesting times for
Yeah.
Pakistan cricket. Why? Because we have batsmen, we have like 4 or 5 openers, but they're all in like good form.
Yeah.
They're all in good form. They're all fun to watch. So it's really interesting to see the combination that the team comes up with. What about you?
I thought this was a very, very important series for both teams, considering that the World Cup is 2 months away. 2 months is nothing. A few weeks ago we were saying that it's a year away, 6 months away. Now it's just 2 months away. So this 5-game series, we were looking forward to seeing a lot of cricket, a lot of experimentation, a lot of players to see who's in form, who can play where, and all that. And the rain really played spoil sport in this case. And I feel like at the end of the day, we didn't learn enough in this series. What did we know going into this series about our team? We knew that our 2 most consistent run scorers are Babar and Rizwan. We already knew that. And that's what we saw in this series. We didn't really see much else. So there weren't many, surprises, many things we learned. So in that
Absolutely.
sense, so I felt like we didn't really learn anything new.
Yeah, exactly. We saw Pollard with the, decent 22 I think he made, and, just the amount of talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in the last game, but just the amount of talent that West Indies possesses. And I was watching some interviews of Shadab before the game with Usman Qadir.
Yeah.
They were just mentioning how Shadab has played the CPL before, and he's used to the conditions where you do have a lot of wind that can come into play. So that's why it's crucial for spinners to perform there. The spinners they're deadly in those conditions, because Shadab was mentioning in his interview that the West Indian batsmen, most often they can't pick the spinner, so they just go for the big shot then, and that's where the spinners are successful. We've seen so many spinners, Narayan especially, from that area.
Yeah.
So really, I would have liked to see, especially in the most recent games, I would have wanted to see more of Usman Qadir and Shadab.
Yeah.
And we saw Hafeez. We'll come to that as well. But let's move on to the second game.
Second game, it was. I thought we got a good score actually, because this isn't England, right? These aren't the flat like roads. The boundaries aren't as small. The conditions aren't as easier for batting. So I think the highest ever chase at that ground was around 141. Yeah, it was 141. So the fact that we got above that, even though I felt like we could have gotten more, but I was happy with the score. I felt like there was enough in the pitch for the bowlers. I felt like we would win this game, and we did, even though it was a little close at the end.
When you play against any team, if it's Sri Lanka, West Indies, South Africa, even let's say these days South Africa, and you're coming from facing England, you're coming from facing New Zealand, could you see the difference in the quality of fielding? Not ours, but theirs. I mean, it was appalling, you know. It just shows how top the England team is right now, you know. We've spoken a lot about, okay, wow, Team India having different teams, Team Australia most recently having 2-3 teams to play. But it's actually about making that second team of yours a world beater. We saw this with England. Their second, third team, the way
we saw with India, they just beat Sri Lanka with their
yeah, but they lost
in the ODI.
Yeah, but the point being, you know, the domination that a team can show was just it was insane. You know, when I saw it with England, and now coming to West Indies, you know, there was a you know, I mean, a very
drop in quality.
Yeah. Especially if you look at the fielding, it was really, it was right out there.
I mean, to be fair to the West Indies, we only got one full game, so we can't. Maybe they would have picked it up in the next few games or whatever. Because you're right that England these days in limited overs cricket is just an insane team, scary team. So coming to West Indies after it's not that as difficult, but at the same time, we're talking about the World T20 champions. So this is a team, you know, everyone likes to say that Pakistan are the unpredictable team, but I think in T20 cricket, West Indies are the scary, unpredictable team, because these guys are the only team, and a lot of the players who have won their T20 World Cups are still in the team. This is the only team that has actually won 2 World T20s. So I definitely think that it would be a big mistake to write them off in this World Cup.
100%. No one's writing them off, but it's just... you know, for me, I feel West Indies, the amount of talent they have, you know, as you mentioned, they could be, you know, a formidable force. The difference I see between, you mentioned the T20 World Cups, the difference is, for me, the leadership. Since Darren Sammy, they've struggled to have that sort of leader that can take them to the next level, for instance. So I feel they need to have that one leader. Right now, they're trying with Pollard. They tried with Jason Holder before. But for me, like, I just feel they need to have this... They can maybe, you know, support a new guy, for instance, but it's that leadership factor that can handle all these big egos around the team. You know, so we saw it with Sarfaraz, the way he did it in the Champions Trophy. We saw it with so many other captains. You know, we've seen Dhoni, but a team of such big superstars, and remember that all of these superstars, most of them play around the world, right? So handling all of that is something that is the job for true captains. So that's something I want to see them do well at. And
I mean, I think that based on Pollard's interviews, post-game interviews and all that, I think he's quite level-headed actually, and he's
calm and collected.
Exactly. And he's one of their top performers in T20s, scary player, and he's a senior player, right? So it would be difficult to make a young guy captain and like you said, manage these like people like Chris Gayle and all that. And to be fair to them, they also just beat Australia in a T20 series. So, you know, I wouldn't be too disappointed
and some
if I was a
ODIs
West
as
Indian
well.
fan. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be too disappointed, you know, if I was a West Indian fan, because rain affected us, but it also affected them. You know, who knows? Anything could have happened in this series. So
and once again, we only won by, was it 7
runs? Yeah,
which is not
runs,
you know, something to be extremely proud of. I mean, of course it is West Indies, but you know, for me, I mean, unless you've seen at least 2-3 games of good quality, you can't just
base.
There's no reason for us to be extremely happy.
Who can say that we would have won the first game for sure, right?
Yeah.
Who can say that? Like maybe they would have bowled us out. So you know, one game you can't really.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just sad that the games happen on the day when there was rain. I feel I don't know, is it forecasting issues or whatever it is, but
whatever it is, a 5-match series turning into one match is like not excuse. There's no excuse for it. Someone messed up.
Because we've seen this with England as well. You know, many times we've gone there in the past years as well, and you know, the games have been washed out. What do you think about that?
It's never been. This is the worst I've ever seen, because it's 5 matches reduced to 1. someone somewhere in the scheduling in
So
the
the first match wasn't
trainings-
reduced because of the rain. That was reduced because of the COVID issues, right, with Australia.
Yeah. The 4 matches.
technically
the
4
match
matches,
series.
yeah.
Yeah. But still, 1 out of 4 not
Yeah.
enough. You should at least get 2, 3, shortened games. But
Yeah.
1 out of 4 is just, and I don't know. I feel like there needs to be more flexibility. Like
Azam Khan got in.
Sure.
Can we move on?
Yeah.
Azam Khan got injured in training. We wish him the best, and let's hope he recovers soon. But then Suhaib Maqsood walked in. Obviously, we couldn't see
Didn't
them
get
perform.
a chance. Yeah.
But I would have loved to see our hitters, our prime hitters, versus theirs.
Yeah.
But yeah. What do you think about like Shimron Hetmyer and all these guys coming
really,
in?
like super talented batsmen.
There was one
honestly.
batsman for Peshawar, Zalmi.
He
came in.
Shafeen
Shafeen Rutherford.
He was
What a
really good.
batsman.
He was really
So
good.
good.
Yeah, in the PSL.
And the fielders, we spoke about their fielding, but one thing about West Indian players is that they're not scared to stop a
They're
six.
very
from going,
athletic. They're very athletic
yeah,
players.
they're super athletic. Especially
Yeah.
Pollard. We spoke about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, what I think
Hafeez.
Hafeez. So we've been saying for a while that Hafeez should be utilized with the ball more in T20s, especially with the World Cup coming around. So I mean, he showed his experience. I think they showed the map of where all his balls were gonna hit. And I think every single delivery he bowled in that game we won was hitting the wickets. And that just showed every single ball was hitting the wickets. And he gave he bowled 4 overs, gave 6 runs, and took 1 wicket. Like, that's an unbelievable performance. And if you compare his figures with everyone else on our team, like it was night and day. So it just shows how much he stood out.
Yeah, there could be many reasons because of that. Maybe you spoke about him, how he should play more often, but there have been many problems with his bowling action,
course,
with
yeah.
regards to the ICC. So think of an opposition side. Who can go 100% into the game? Let's look at the past 2 years, saying that Hafeez will bowl. So you can't really prepare against someone if you don't know they're going to bowl, and then all of a
exactly.
sudden they bowl,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It was, Pakistan fans were surprised as well, about Hafeez bowling.
Yeah.
So definitely there is that element of surprise, but once again, maintaining that consistency, that Hafeez can just come out of nowhere and just bowl those magnificent overs. He bowled-
Economical. super
what was it? Was it
economical.
18 plus dot balls?
Yeah, something
in
like
his second
that. It was
game,
crazy.
and it was like literally 3 maiden overs.
Yeah.
Surprising in today's day and age, if you hear of any bowler with those figures,
Yeah.
And this was the first time I think that he got a man of the match award
Just purely on his
purely
bowling,
based on his bowling. So that was
Yeah.
remarkable to see.
I think
But
he's
going into the future, now, opposition side seeing this, the World Cup on its way, everyone's going to be prepared to face
Yeah,
Hafeez now. They're
absolutely.
going to know the wicket-to-wicket thing you mentioned.
Yeah.
And one more thing, the reason why I specifically mentioned Bangladesh at the start of this is because going towards the trend of off spinners, moving towards that. In the past, we've seen with Saeed Ajmal, world-class off spinners, Narayan.
Yeah.
There's a lot of not rumors, but there's a lot of, let's say, negative sentiment towards them. The game wants to introduce more leg spinners, for
Yeah.
instance. That's what I sort of feel when I watch the game. But it's refreshing to see some quality off spinners come back. We saw it with South Africa as well. We saw it with Pakistan with bringing back Nawaz, or trying new players.
Yeah.
I think the trend towards starting with an off spinner, starting the innings with an off spinner is just, it's interesting to see.
Yeah. The thing about off spinners is they give you a level of control that no leg spinner really can
Think
provide.
about it. The
right?
bats are so big.
Yeah.
There's a 80% chance of the batsman nicking the ball and it going all the way back.
Yeah.
right?
The off spinners
So
just give you
some
control.
surety. Some assurity.
They
that,
give
okay,
you
at least
control
the
that
balls are
leg
gonna
spinners just cannot. Even the best leg spinners will always mess up once in a while. They'll bowl something short, they'll bowl a full toss, they'll bowl something like that. But an off spinner in your side is extremely valuable for
Consistent.
that control.
Yeah. That's why I want to see Imad Wasim bowl, even though he's more like a medium.
He's
pacer
still a
type bowler.
finger spinner.
Yeah, finger spinner,
Yeah.
but he's not a big spinner of the ball, but still.
Yeah.
I want to see him more in the opening of. I don't like to watch him a lot in the middle overs because I feel that's when the ball loses its lacquer, it loses its, the ability to, let's say, drift and to that extent.
Yeah.
But I would want to see Imad open a lot more. I think that's where, that's what made him, so recognized
Yeah.
when it came to like bowling as
Yeah.
well.
One thing I want to mention about Hafeez, last thing, is that he, despite this amazing performance, all credit to him, he's in the team as an all-rounder. He's not a bowler, right? And this past year in T20s, I don't know if you've seen, he's been averaging around 11 with the bat, which honestly, for someone who bats at 4-5, he needs to do better with the bat. Like, you look back at the PSL since and the South Africa series, Zimbabwe series, all of that, England series just now, he hasn't really been showing up with the bat at all.
Recently he has picked up. Recently he has picked up. I think I saw him play some very solid boundaries recently.
Yeah.
So I think there were a few against England, and there were a few.
One game, it was I think, but 20 runs. Or
once
something.
Again, it's really a few. It's the problem now that we have, Ali, is that how many games do we have left until the World Cup?
New Zealand T20s 5 and
barely
then,
yeah,
now, less than
now 10. Me listening to all of these, all of social media saying we need to try new hitters, new middle order. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
you only have a few
you don't have
games
enough
to
time.
go. I feel this pair of Sohaib and Azam is really good. I really love. Me personally, I enjoy watching them. Okay, there is a problem in fielding when you see, Sohaib. We spoke about this in the last podcast as well, because we spoke about how fielding can save you so many runs. But what do you think about this middle order pair of Azam and Sohaib?
I definitely.
There is a conflict between Hafeez. Where does Hafeez play?
Yeah,
Is Fakhr a middle order batsman?
yeah.
Is he, or should he be an opener?
Yeah,
Where does
exactly.
Shaheen play?
If he plays.
And definitely after the series, watching Babar Azam's interview, he said we wanted to test our bench strength, which means that I doubt that Shaheen is going to play.
Yeah.
Because there's so much competition.
I mean,
for
whatever.
that
I'm not
spot.
saying drop a fees, but he's in the team as an all-rounder. He needs to play better. He needs to do better with the bat.
Prior to this, prior to his brilliant performances recently, I thought he was in the team as a specialist hitter.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, because think about it like that. We already had the option of Imad coming, and we had all of these options. So I think his role was primarily to be a hitter. So 100%. Going back to your point, he does need to work on that, and so do many people in our team, right? But just the combination, the middle order. What do you have to say about that?
Would
you change anything?
Tricky. I wouldn't change Babar. And I know you talk about the different styles, but it's too late. We're too close to the World Cup, and these are our two guys in form, scoring heavily. So I wouldn't change Babar and Rizwan. It's a little too risky. And then I think that Sohaib should be played where he was played in the PSL at 1 down. I think he should be given more chances at 3. He's in form, test him out at 3. Don't send him down at 6. I don't think that's right. I think he should be back
100%
at number
agree
3
with that.
because that also gives you that new style. When someone gets out, Babar is one, it gives you a more aggressive batsman at 3 instead of maybe Fakhr, like you said in the last podcast, takes a few deliveries. Sohaib doesn't do that. He gets out or he hits, right? So send him at 3.
One more thing, I've been talking. You just spoke about right now the different styles. That argument is there when there are actually the batsmen of the same style batting as openers. But we've seen throughout, Rizwan has the ability to change his game completely with those unorthodox shots that he plays. So Rizwan can really accelerate. So when Rizwan is completely it's as if we're watching, and I don't know if you noticed this, but Rizwan has probably the second highest number of sixes in the past calendar year,
and the most runs
ever
in a year
from the batsman of his stature.
Yeah.
It's surprising to. I was watching the most recent game, and I think the commentators mentioned this as well. So Rizwan can turn the game on its head.
Yeah.
So going back to that, it's not like they're both of similar. They're both of the same style. I think Rizwan recognizes that Babar is also a batsman that likes to take his time. So 100%, I think the reason why we've been really successful is because Rizwan primarily has the ability to just change his game.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind
them opening, right?
Them opening, considering the recent form. Okay, going back, I would have thought that it's not Rizwan's game to play like this. But if he can continue doing what he's doing, I mean, for sure, I think they can prove me wrong.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. And again, you have Sohaib at 3 because we're super close to the World Cup now. I think that Hafeez or Fakhr should bat at 4. Maybe Fakhr should bat at 4 because now you have 3 right-handers in the top 3. Maybe it's time to bring in a left-hander at 4. One thing I want to mention that was on my mind, I forgot, I should have mentioned this earlier, is Hassan Ali's batting. I think that Hassan Ali isn't being utilized with the bat as well as he could be, because let's say you score 80 runs and your first wicket falls at 80 runs or something. why not send Hassan Ali up the order? Because you know he's not a batsman who's going to waste any
Hit
balls,
out or
right?
get out. Yeah.
He's going to get out or he's going to hit 3
We
sixes.
saw it in domestic right now. His brilliant performances with the bat.
Yeah.
And he's in form. I
Even
think
in
the word,
international cricket.
in form is something that we're looking for right now. So 100% I agree
Promote
with
him.
that.
Be
I love
flexible.
the idea of sending Sohaib one down. I actually would go a step further and say maybe we can experiment with him opening. But 100% right
Yeah.
now we're doing well. So we do have that option because we're literally playing with 5 openers right now.
Yeah.
So we can go with that option, and it's good times to be a Pakistan fan regarding batting. There are many times where I couldn't have said that, right?
Yeah.
Because primarily our attacking option is bowling. I feel let's move on to bowling now.
Yeah.
Me personally, I feel that I've been saying this a lot, but I just feel that Shaheen is playing every single format, and every single game of every single format.
Yeah.
We saw him even play the games against Zimbabwe, where we could have played Dahani, for instance. I feel if he's our main strike bowler, I think he should be. I mean, I've seen so many times Shoaib Akhtar say a fast bowler has to be managed properly, especially a young fast bowler, because I don't know, but there's such an age. If you look at Naseem Shah, where your body has to develop completely until you can be given such a heavy load. So in the same way, I mean, we've seen that recently Naseem has been selected for the tests. Dahani has, so that could probably remove some of the load of Shaheen, where he's primarily gearing up for T20 World Cup right now, or the T20 series coming up next. So I feel if Shaheen wants to be at his best, he shouldn't be playing every single game of every single format right now. We need to manage him. Exactly, we need to manage him really carefully.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I agree with that, especially like I said, so close to the World Cup. After the World Cup, like whatever, but so close. Maybe play him in one of the tests. You know,
for batsmen it's different, because if a batsman has a purple patch, you want to keep it going as long as
and
possible.
The rate of injury for a batsman is like not the same, right? Compared to fast bowlers.
Quite possibly,
Not the same like exertion.
You could have many different ways of prolonging a bowler's career. You saw with Wasim Akram shortening your run up, for instance, or doing various things, but I mean that's not the point I'm trying to make here. The point is basically there's a lot of load on Shaheen, and not just physical, but that's emotional, or mental load as well, that he has to carry the team. He's that age strike bowler, and remember the bowler of the team that's known as the best bowling attack in history, right? Waqar Yunus, Wasim Akram, Shoaib Akhtar. I can go on. So if you're being the face of that country that's known for the best fast bowlers, or that's known for being a factory for fast bowlers, it's a lot to keep up with the pressure. So I definitely feel Dahani. I mean, he performed in T20 cricket. I don't know. He should be in the team, right?
Get him in the T20 team. There's no reason. You got Sohaib Maqsood in the team based on his PSL performances. So why wouldn't you get the man of the tournament, not the bowler of the tournament, of the PSL as well? Like you and just, you know,
arguably he could have been the man of the tournament.
He could have, absolutely.
In fact, he should have. That's my opinion.
I don't know.
But I think that's
debatable.
Is that it?
Either way, I think get Dahani in the team, promote Hassan Ali if needed, and like what else? Just
so Dahani should play the World Cup games.
Should play the World Cup games, but don't get him in like one day before the World Cup. Like you have some matches, get him in, play him in those matches. You know, don't throw him in at the deep end. Just give him a little bit of experience. You know, get him to gel with
the freedom.
Yeah, exactly. Like give him some chances before the World Cup.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you bring him in the World Cup. He doesn't have any confidence, any experience in international cricket. He has a bad game. Everyone's gonna jump on him. I know how this works. I've been watching it for years.
100%. A bowler comes in fresh, and then we all start criticizing him.
Get him in the New Zealand.
Especially, we've heard this so many times. You can't judge a player based on PSL, right?
Yeah.
So 100%.
Get him in the New Zealand T20s. Absolutely.
One last thought right before we end this. What do you think about player roles? Going back to the batting, the middle order, but just player roles. Giving a player, we spoke about this in the last podcast as well, but just giving a player, okay, this is your role. So how does it work? Is the player first given his number first in the team? You're going to bat number 2, number 3, number 4, or are you given your role first? Because I think that's where the issue is in our team. The batsmen themselves don't know where they're going to bat, so they cannot prepare according to that.
Yeah.
You know, for example, if you know you're going to come down the order like Hassan Ali is, he can easily just go and start preparing for hitting big shots. But if you think you're going to come number 3, I mean, you also have to be prepared for, your openers getting, bowled early on. You need to be prepared to take the game slow, take the game longer, play with the overs.
Yeah.
So there is that, you got what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I get it.
For example, if you look at Butler batting for Rajasthan, recently, the way that he can change his game, just switch it from, classical, proper cricket to just going ballistic. is something that we need to also pay attention to. Right now, you're right, it is too late. But just if you have a quick word on player roles, what would you say about that?
I would say that two things. First thing, player roles, a big part of that, the management plays a big part in that, right? And the way I feel like you should decide player roles is you should look at players' strengths. What is this player's strength? You know, what is Sohaib Maqsood's strength? What is Babar Azam's strength? What are these players' strengths? And then based on that, you give them, like Hassan Ali's strength is hitting. So like I said, send him up the order to hit if he needs to, or send him like at the end if he needs to hit. So based on that, I feel like you have to judge a player's strengths and you decide their role based on that. And second thing I want to say is that in T20 cricket, I feel like I've said this a lot before, but player roles are very important, but they're a little less important in the sense that you don't have as many overs with the bat. So everyone needs to be aggressive to a certain extent, you know. Maybe Babar doesn't need to be as aggressive as like a Sohaib Maqsood or a Hassan Ali. But eventually everyone needs to like set a certain target and everyone needs to accelerate at a certain point at least.
So what you're basically saying is every batsman should be prepared to hit a six.
Exactly. That's T20 cricket.
Okay.
Every batsman. Exactly.
True. I was watching one recent thing where I was watching why West Indian batsmen are so successful is because they all practice to hit the long ball,
Yeah.
like maybe 100 sixes a day, right? And so I think that's what Azam Khan said as well, that he's practicing as well. Strengths you spoke about, similar to, Sohaib Maqsood, Azam Khan, well, they're similar in that aspect. They're big hitters. You look at Asif Ali, Iftikhar, all these guys, everyone's fighting for that spot of being the hitter in our team.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something where you have batsmen you got what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You have two batsmen playing in the team, both have the same strengths. What's their role? What position are you gonna? Is it one day Azam will go at this position, one day Maqsood will go, one day Hafeez will go, one day, or is it, because I think there needs to be that clarity.
Yeah.
If we have that clarity,
Absolutely.
that can take the game to the next level.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I think that's something that the management just has to decide and work on. Who are you setting at 3 and then fix that.
So I think it's been a good
Yeah.
good podcast, and I believe we're gonna do the next ones.
Yeah, from now on, we're probably going to switch to, at least for a few months, we're going to switch to video call for our podcast because I'll be leaving to Canada. So we're going
Why are
to
you going?
work on that. Why am I going?
Yeah. You should
Just-
stay.
Yeah, I wish I could, but I've prolonged it so much already. So it's still going to be good, though. We're going to make sure that it comes out well. We're going to work on it. We're not just going to do a random video call. It's still going to be quality. We're going to, yeah.
For sure, guys. It's been fun. So,
Yeah.
by the way, amazing setting. When you come back, we should.
We'll
do it here
experiment
again,
with
I
more
think.
settings too. We can do in outdoors,
Yeah,
different
yeah,
places.
I think that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Don't forget to.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, like us, like our Facebook, follow us on Instagram. It'll all be right here. And thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you for the support.
All the best, guys. Take it easy. Assalamu alaikum.